Thank you so much, Tiffany Mann, for joining me with The Real Effect. I'm Meah Denee. And I don't know if you know this, but I interviewed your mom and dad like a year ago during a junket. Yeah. So this is like a full circle moment for me. And that's why I'm extra excited to interview you. I'm like, oh, my third man. Like,
Yes.
I'm doing good things.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So when I started their interview off, I started it with like an interesting question. And so I wanted to start yours off in the same way. And so I was curious to know if you were able to have superpowers that you could like give away some of your gifts, what specific gift would you give to others? Like if you could give away your acting or your singing abilities or anything, what would you love to give away?
Here's the thing, I'm about to get deep already. So I pride myself in creating like non-judgmental spaces so people can be their goofiest, dumbest, like most nerdy, quirky selves in front of me, and you don't get no judgment from me at all. So like I would love to pass a little bit of that around to everybody. So like you can feel everybody can feel comfortable around each other. And I feel like that's a gift of mine. So that's what I share.
Beautiful. I love that because like it's also entwined with love. You know what I'm saying? When you're able to just give authentic love, there's no judgment, there's no
Mm-hmm.
insecurities there. So yeah, I appreciate that one. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So I've been watching you guys on YouTube, your YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel, Man TV, which I didn't know existed. And I really love, the videos that you guys have, and I love how you guys are trying to build your legacy where you guys have so many talents and you're like, why don't we use this to our advantage? And
Mm-hmm.
I saw one interview where your family was like, you help them a lot when it comes to like coaching them with their like scripts and their acting. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and like what you are bringing to the Mann family when it comes to like your coaching abilities?
Being a part of a family that's in showbiz, it's all a balancing act, right? So what I've been fortunate enough to do is to go outside of the family and sort of bring skill sets back into the family. And so me being an actress myself, having studied and been in numerous Broadway shows, television myself, I understand where they are and understand the language, how to access them, not only from a professional standpoint, but I know what kind of words my mom and my dad understand to get, what we need to get from a script. So I was fortunate enough during a season of one of the television shows and on a movie to drill lines with them and figure out what they're like, the best way to drill lines with them, help them remember things, and then how to deepen a character and how to really study. And they're very well known for playing Cora and Mr. Brown, but how do we shake that off, still bring authenticity of yourself into the character, but then
Mhm.
step into some new shoes and let your audiences know that you got some little chops. It's been really cool to do that with the two of them. And then my siblings are also immensely talented. And so, how do we all collaborate to help one another? And that's what the Mann family really is about, is trying to figure out, okay, what's your gift? Okay, you bring that to the table, you bring that, we're gonna make a big old good gumbo and we're gonna feed it
Mhm.
to the people.
Love it. So I know most recently you guys have Soul Santa, which is out on BET Plus right now. Loved it. Very funny movie. And you made a cameo yourself. And so I would love look, I can get into that character too, because when she came on screen, you really delivered. And I was like, hold up, I feel some type of way. But I'm not gonna give too much away.
I have never acted with my parents. I've had my own entire career in New York, and we've never worked together in that capacity. So, the day of the shoot, I had to be like, hey, parents, I am an actress at this moment. You are an actor at this moment. We're just going to separate that. Whatever I say and do, it's not personal. But we're going to, I'm going to do my job well because that's what we do. So it was very cool to watch their process, for them to experience me, not as their daughter, but as an actual adult who has a career. And it was really cool to just kind of bounce ideas off of each other in that way.
Nice. So one of the things I found really interesting when I was, just digging is that when you were in New York, you used to work at this restaurant where you actually would sing. So can you talk a little bit more about, like, first of all, what was the restaurant? Because I need to know if you're gonna be going back there if I if I should come through.
Well, okay, so for about 6 years, I worked in a restaurant called Stardust Diner. It's in the heart of Times Square, and it's a restaurant. It's kind of like diner food, but while you have your food, you have full on like people with microphones singing and serving your cheeseburgers and taking your orders at the same time while singing, because we are all, uh, at the time I was an aspiring Broadway artist and, wanted to do television and things like that and trying to pay bills because New York is expensive. So, that was my survival job. And thankfully they were flexible enough to allow me to go to auditions, or all of us were collaborative enough to, hey, let's, help me with this self-tape. And so I hadn't worked there in quite some time because work has been very consistent for me in a way where I haven't had to go back there, but I ain't ashamed. I ain't too, dignified to go back and make this money. Okay. But I've been fortunate enough to where work is aligned in such a way where I can support, other people who want to come out of the diner and also do Broadway shows and also do television and things like that. So, but yeah, it was a fun time, and a couple of videos that were taken there went viral and afforded me some really cool opportunities.
You're hitting me with all these transitions. I wanted to talk about one of those videos you posted, and let me see. You said you posted it on, I think it was like August 4th, and you said, or August 9th, and you said it was one of the most pivotal performances of your life. I'm not sure if you remember which one I'm talking about.
I know exactly which one.
Can you talk about that moment?
Sure. I was at the diner working. The shifts are long. There are a lot of tourists and they're so excited. So there's a lot of energy exerted all day. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's the end of the night, and we had a table come in last minute, right before we were about to close. So I was like, fine, we have to keep singing. Let me just sing this last little song. And I sang the song She Used to Be Mine. And I usually sing something like, really light and hoppy boppy, but I needed to sing for myself at that moment. I had just gotten out of a really turbulent relationship that was, that I found the strength to finally leave. And I closed my eyes and I sang for myself, for healing myself. And my coworker took a video of it and it went viral. And I got calls from American Idol and America's Got Talent. I ended up on the Steve Harvey show. I ended up, casting offices ended up seeing that, and I ended up on a TV show called Rise for 9 episodes of a season, and like all those kinds of little things really connected in a way from that small moment of me really deciding, okay, I'm gonna give these people a show, but I'm going to also heal myself with my gift.
That's amazing. I love that so much. But I would love to talk more about, you getting back into Broadway. You won this amazing award, the Lucille Lortel Award for Outstanding Featured Actress in a Musical for the Jerry Springer opera. And I would just love to hear like your experience from, having that amazing accomplishment and then kind of transitioning out where you couldn't really work because of the pandemic. And now you're kind of hopping back into being on Broadway again.
Before that, I was at this sort of just right at the precipice of like the sort of breakthrough. Like I kept getting like final callbacks. So they're like, we really like you, but you're not quite right. It was at that stage and I was ready to give up. I was ready to move from New York and move back home. I was like, this career is just not working. And so around the time Jerry Springer the Opera came around, I was like, okay, well, they cast me in this thing. It feels really good in my voice. It is this plus size woman talking about how much she wants to dance and how much she loves her body. That feels right up my alley. And I just closed my eyes and just sort of did it. I wasn't looking for the accolades. I wasn't looking for anything other than like, let me be authentic and true to this role and really trust the work that is going forth. The night that I won, I didn't believe, it didn't compute that they called my name. I had my program, my purse, and something else in my hand. And they said, Tiffany Mann. And I just kind of sat there for a second. I was like, wait, what? And so I had to like give my purse away and like scoot it down the aisle. Like I was not ready at all to have an award attached to my name in New York City. Like that
That's another
boggles my mind
level.
still. Yeah. So all that those things happened, and then I made my Broadway debut in Waitress the musical, and then I originated a role in Be More Chill the musical, and so I have my voice is forever on a cast album, and my choices sort of shape the fabric of how this musical lives, you know, in the life of itself. It's really, really cool. So then the pandemic happens, and like many of us, you sort of have an identity questioning, like, who am I outside of being booked and blessed? Who am I outside of working for someone else? And so that was a bit of a reckoning for me. And thankfully, I have family to go home to, and I spent time with my nieces and nephews, and you know, kids are really restore your spirit and fill your cup. It's awesome. And I got a chance to be fulfilled in that way, and for the first time really be immersed in my family's business, and to show them or to share with them my skill set that I have developed outside of the family. So that's been awesome. And then things started to pick back up. I was in Waitress the musical on Broadway again once it reopened after the pandemic, and have done numerous workshops, and did some things in St. Louis, and now I'm in California doing a show. And so trying to bring all of what I learned from the pandemic that has fortified me, that has made me understand it, had a deeper understanding of myself, and bring that to the table in work that didn't necessarily embrace that prior to the pandemic. That has been the challenge for us all, to uphold the promises that we made in summer of 2020 when we was all marching in the streets, to uphold the self-care that I have developed as I've been sort of isolated at home and really living with my thoughts. How do I bring all of that with me? And I've been so fortunate to be a part of some processes that allow me to bring my whole self into the room, every bit of myself into the room and into the process.
Nice. Do you feel like the project you're doing now, Head Over Heels, kind of encompasses everything that you just mentioned?
Absolutely. It always starts from the leadership and it trickles down. And so you set the precedent for what we're going to do, how we're going to operate, how we are going to collaborate within this process. And our directors, Jenny Coons and Sam Pinkleton, really set the tone. We are going to respect one another in this room. You are welcome to bring your entire selves, even like upon the grounds of consent. You know, sometimes like within my job, it is literally my job to kiss somebody in the mouth. You know what I mean? But there's not many conversations around that. Even though it says it in the script, you still got to check in with your scene partner. What does that look like? What does that language look like? Let's practice that, and let's mobilize that even outside of this process. And then in creating this character, my character is beautiful and wonderful, and that's it. You know what I mean? And they allowed me to bring my beautiful and my wonderful into this character.
Nice, beautiful. Do you mind telling me a little bit more about your character?
So I play Pamela in Head Over Heels, and she is a princess. And at this moment in her life, they have been trying to marry her off to these suitors. And she's like, no, I just want to be me. And in a world where often me, Tiffany, loving my body, my skin color, my hair is sort of an act of revolution, to be able to be in a show where, no, that's just the beauty standard. Mm-hmm. I'm beautiful, period. And as my niece says, big period. You know what I mean? So like I love living in that skin every day. And there's some surprises along the way, and she learns about herself. You get to learn about her as the show goes on.
Nice. I know that's probably so empowering for you in general. I feel like those stories aren't told too often, especially with Black women getting to just be authentically themselves and not having to like always figure out like what aspects of them are actually beautiful, but just me as a whole is beautiful. So
yeah, I had a conversation with my team not too long ago about what kind of stories I want to tell. I'm in a position and at a place in my career where I can choose what I want to immerse myself into every day. And I no longer tell stories of like, I'm sad because I'm fat, and the only thing that'll make me happy is to be skinny. There's so many stories out there like that. And there's so many people who don't mind telling those stories.
Mhm.
I don't want to tell those stories anymore because there's no truth in it for me. And there has to be something for me to attach myself in truth in order for me to play these characters. And so what I appreciate about playing Pamela in this show is the truth is I'm cute. And that's it. Like all of me is beautiful. And I will hope that the audience sees that from me and gets permission to understand that everything within themselves, they are beautiful. Everything about you is gorgeous. And we should just embrace that and love that.
Yes, I felt that. Yes. Okay, well, my last question for you, now that have tapped into so many things, acting, you're on Broadway, but then you also have been singing for video games. What for you would be something that would just be like, maybe like out of this world and you can't really envision or imagine for yourself would be an amazing like accomplishment?
Oh, fun fact, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, like in the teens, nieces and nephews, like a huge amount. And I have a heart for children. And so what would be really cool is for me to marry like animation and music and teaching children about confidence and mental health and things like that to share that with everyone. I think that that would be really cool. And I don't know how that would happen, but it'd be really awesome.
Yes, I mean, we just spoke it out there, so it's gonna happen, it's gonna come. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. I really appreciate this conversation. And of course, I wish you the best, and hopefully I'll get to see you like perform live one day.
Yes, yes, hopefully. Thank you so much for having me.